So this is our final call for consultant.
Yeah.
We're going to try to finish this up and see how we go. You weren't sure about using your scenario that you recorded as the scenario because it felt like maybe we already had too much information, but we can use that same scenario.
I was actually thinking maybe we could because did you get the thing at the scenario I sent you about Howie?
Yep, Howie's profile, and I listened to the recording, so we can definitely use that and see what direction you would take it now that you've listened to it and kind of reviewed it yourself.
Well, I think what's interesting is that his wife was really pleased. And I think it went really well as getting some of the information that I was able to gather and then letting her choose between which issue she wanted to focus on, whether it was the wandering in the streets or the wanting to get out and seeming restless. And she wanted to focus on his wanting to get out and restlessness, which we did. And she walked away with some ideas and things. She was like, I'm going out to the store now.
Awesome.
And actually, I was glad she picked that because I wasn't sure what I would do if it was about the crossing the streets. So I think maybe that would be a good one to look at because
where would it go?
Yeah.
So you focused on which of the puzzle pieces with her?
Which one did I pick? I think, wait a minute. The person.
The person, who he was, and then specifically, what else did you focus on?
Time. Well, how he uses his time.
Right. Yeah. That was sort of your problem-solving piece.
Right.
What you used to get there was who he was.
Right. Exactly. And we determined that sort of time of day, with that the fact that he kept saying, "I have to go to work. I have to go to work."
Right.
He loved work, so we came up with some plans of some things that. Since he was a pharmacist, she was going to get jars and like candies that he could sort and put in jars and put labels on them, just like when he was a pharmacist. He loved counting and sorting and tell him he can go to work if he could help work at the house.
Right, asking for his help was a big part.
He didn't. What we found out too is that I kind of did this crossover. Is that he didn't have meaningful activity. That was really meaningful.
Which of those four, I mean, this is part of the engagement, but
right.
There are those four main uses of time. Which one was he lacking?
He was lacking meaningful activity that had purpose. And
right, that purposeful, productive work. Yeah.
Right. He was doing lots of leisure, lots of well-being.
Which is great.
Restorative. They were all very balanced. That one piece was missing. That's what we figured out. Also, he used to love to cut out articles and cut paper, and she won't let him have scissors anymore, so he gets angry, and he doesn't like that it's torn instead of neat, so she's going to go get him this round-edge scissors.
Sure, the children's scissors that have that smaller, the pointed tip.
And we're hoping that one of those activities introduced might give him that meaning and give him a task.
Yeah, and it's not, the hard part is going to be if he does one of them, it's great, but does he want to do that same thing every single day?
Right.
So getting her to think, once you've kind of gotten some success, can we look a little bigger picture now? What other things could we add in that are similar but different?
Right.
Because much like when you get someone folding laundry, and that's awesome, but is that all they're going to do all day? So.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. All right. And so overall, how did you think the consultation went with Kiki?
I was really excited about it. I think I allowed myself to, I'm still working on my reflection and staying really curious. And I think I did pretty well. With, if nothing else, she walked away with some ideas of things to try. And I think we really identified what might be going on and what might help.
Yeah, it sounded like she was a little stuck on a few things, and you were able to kind of get her to move past him by using that reflection
Yeah,
and
she walked into like, he won't. I cannot stop him. I cannot stop him.
yeah,
Just go. And
right.
then he gets angry when I say no, no, no. He gets mad.
What? He gets angry when you say no, no, no? But yeah, you did a nice job of not turning it on her, but by getting her to think about when does he do well and when does he not. And finding those, thinking, okay, so when did he do well in the past? So bringing forward, because she couldn't quite see when he does well right now and why.
Right. She's very, like many people, it's easier for her to see loss.
Absolutely.
Abilities and
Absolutely.
identify loss.
And it's hard to say, which direction he's going, because she is pretty stuck in how things need to be.
Yeah.
She's very routine driven.
Oh yeah. And I've even spoken to the care partners that work with her, and they're like, she's just as tough as him sometimes, because she is just like,
Yeah. So if it doesn't happen at 4:00, then we have a major problem. Whereas he's going to probably fairly soon start to not follow that schedule, and that's going to be another stressor.
Yeah.
So, you were working on reflection.
Yep.
When you listened to the tape, how do you think you did? What were two things that you felt like you really got her to see or do, or that you really worked hard when you could hear the
yeah, I'm looking for my notebook that I have written that in. I thought I had it. I had a notebook that I kept. Oh crap, I knew this would happen and I wouldn't remember. I'm sorry, I just got so rattled.
You're fine. Yeah, you've had a busy afternoon.
Yeah, where's that notebook?
So I wrote down, if you can't find it, don't worry. I wrote down some of the questions that you said. You said what works and what doesn't, which was one of those, you were working to not offer advice and you were working to ask a little bit more. What did he like before you? So that was, you were really trying on the music to get her to see outside of the box, and she just wasn't getting there.
Yeah.
And so how did you did mention, okay, maybe it's an age shift for him, because maybe he's kind of stuck in this other place, and you realized she wasn't quite ready to hear that. So how did that feel when you were stuck in that music vein? Because he doesn't like the music that she's playing, this classical whatever.
Yeah.
You like this music, but he doesn't like this music anymore.
Right.
You were able to kind of get yourself out of that because you were getting really kind of focused and stuck.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Well, I think that keeping in mind that I have to, this is what's working. These cards are helping me a lot. Is to go, what can I do to shift it up? If this isn't working, I need to let it go. And
so the puzzle cards, you sort of were like, okay, let me move on to something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And how did you know that she wasn't really getting there? I mean, you tried a few different questions, and what kind of responses were you getting?
Well, I think she was saying, I can't recall exactly, but I think she was just saying, well, he always liked this and he always did that, or kind of saying, this is what we did, and kind of just, she was just a little rigid and stuck on what her ideas were.
Yeah, and when you hear people using those always or never or need, right, where is she?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so you recognize that and you were like, all right, let me move away from that. And then you got into a little bit about what he did, the work that he did, where you walked her through the options of the different possibilities for work, the productive activities. You finally figured out, okay, he was a pharmacist. What kinds of things did he do at work? Whose idea was it, yours or hers, to come up with some of
I
those?
think that was hers.
Yeah, so that was one of your big things was I don't want to suggest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think she went, oh, I have labels. She remembered on her own that I have labels he could stick on.
Yeah, and when she got concerned, oh, actually, no, those are glass jars. I don't want to use that. That's unsafe. Then you were able to sort of help her. Okay, what about plastic or glass? Which one would be better? So then that's where you were working on your options.
Yeah.
Which was good. Where in the beginning of the call, you were starting with doing the, yeah, uh-huh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Right? As you were listening to her, and you were really listening to her, and she was doing a lot of speaking. So where is that change? What's the shift that you're working to do with that reflection?
Well, I think I noticed that I was talking a lot. I remember writing that down, that I was almost interrupting a little bit. So I think it's a difference between reflecting and validating.
So
and
what is the difference? Yeah.
I need to continue to where my reflection is definitely where in all pieces that I need to continue to work on. It's my challenge. I think using her words instead of just saying yes, okay, or making sure if I'm clarifying that I'm hearing it by saying, so what you're saying is this, and letting that be sort of my introduction into my seeking.
Yeah. Right. So using her words to start the question.
Yeah.
Because she is not the kind of person that was shy to correct you when it didn't match what she was thinking.
Right.
So that can be a good, and it did feel a little bit like for you when you were listening to it, you said, oh, wow, I thought it went really well, but then I feel like I was doing a lot of talking or possibly even interrupting. And it wasn't really interrupting so much as it felt like a new thought because you had gone from what she said to this new idea. So because in your head, you had already connected what she said to this new thing that you were going to ask about. But that carryover, that transition piece of the reflection of this is where your words are going. Is this okay to go next?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is good because something I noticed a little piece of all this stuff that I need to focus on is transitions.
Okay.
Transitions in the day, transitions in the cycles. I think transitions are going to be my next focus.
Okay.
Because reflecting, I need to keep going, but the new next one I would think should be transitions.
Yeah, and actually that works perfectly if that's your next focus, because reflection can lead directly into those transitions, and that gives you a lot more meat to stand on. Almost when you're doing a training and you kind of wrap up the one big section, if we're doing hand under hand, go through, okay, so what are the steps of hand under hand and what are the uses of hand under hand? Okay, and how can that guide us through the day, or who can we use this with for this next piece? So that serves as my bridge from this one section to this new section of.
Yeah, and you're really good at that. You're really good at that. I remember.
Well, I mean, it comes from training. And that's exactly where it comes from, is that idea of I can't just stop here and start here. This gap in the middle is leaving me a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
And so for consulting, that gap becomes reflection.
Right. So. That's good, because I think that'll work on many levels for me.
Okay. That's a great next goal. Because your curiosity is, you're really working through that. You've got the idea I'm not going to offer, I'm not going to suggest, I'm going to actually stay curious and ask a lot more questions. But how do I guide those questions? And then how do I think about the day for someone?
Yeah.
And that's a bigger picture piece. All right. One thing I wanted to notice, I loved how you added in the visual verbal touch data, how we take in data.
I did?
You did. Let me go back and listen to it because I want to see what you think. I want to see if I can share it. I think I will be able to share. Yeah. So I'm just going to get to the right spot. It was about, oh wait, this is not the right one. I take it back. Let me do this one. I guess that was the right one, but it didn't seem to have more than, it says 440, but this one only has 358. You sent 2 of them, I guess.
I sent 2, yeah. Do you want me to see if I can find it?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had it open. Let me see. Huh.
I gotta figure out where I put it. That's my worst challenge. Let's see. Nope. Let me see if I can find it this way.
Okay, let me try this one. No, that was on April 1st. Huh. Why can't I find it? I can find all your other pieces.
I can't find it either.
You can't either? Okay.
No. I know it's on my phone, but I know I put it over here.
And I know you sent it to me because I listened to the whole thing.
Darn it.
Let me look and see if I've got it hidden away here. Okay, here we go. I got it.
Oh, good.
I hid it in another mailbox. Okay, so let me share my audio again.
Where are you? Did I just? Where am I? Oh, okay. I hit a tab.
You found me? Okay, so let me.
Do you understand? I don't know how much you know about how we take in data for people. Mm-hmm. The most common, the most preferred way that human beings receive data from their world is visual.
Okay.
The second is auditory or verbal. Right. And then the third is by touch or feeling things. Like, you know, what we do is if you feel an itch and you scratch it, and you're like, oh, that feels good. So you keep scratching it. Or if you
love massage.
But if you touch something hot, you don't want to touch it.
Right.
So your body reacts to feels good, doesn't. Okay. So one of the ways that is proven to work with people living with dementia, because what happens is the left side of their brain, your left side here in the temporal lobe, is where the language center, formal language, which includes the vocabulary, comprehension, understanding what you're saying, and then speech production, which is getting words out. So you've definitely seen shifts in that.
I think in the daytime.
I'm sorry, I'm talking loud.
We can. No, it's okay. We can. I think he does not hear when the door is pushed completely. When we have, if he heard and he was bothered, he would already come naked because he dropped his.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. So in the daytime, I mean, I hear her pull up, so on, and if he finally pull up or whatever, he understand. I say go to the sink, we're going to wash, or the two of us. When he gets up, she take care. She get in the shower. He goes with her to the shower nicely. She managed to take care of him great. Pull the socks. I'm unable. I have a broken arm. I can't use the contention of the socks. So she's very good. And then we go to the thing, and that's it. Because she don't cook, she don't do anything. But when I'm alone on the weekend, because the girl here is useless, just sit and sweep and hold his hand, and she's there really because like that when he gets nervous, she does not feather out. She's okay with it. So I take more care of him. And said I don't want to shower with me. He knows they can't get away. Maybe I don't know, but I'm not forceful.
Yeah.
So, but at night, since I'm the one that get up at night, he does not understand at all.
So kind of listening to that section again, what are you thinking about where you could take that? Because you gave her a little knowledge, right? A little awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like she got it. What are you thinking now that you were kind of going for, and then got a little sidetracked with the next piece, which I think it went into feeding and versus eating and etc. I mean, you covered a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking when you did the initial, or do you remember what you were thinking about the introduction of the visual verbal touch?
Well, I think I was trying to see if I could get her on board with understanding the shifts that he was experiencing and how that might, having that understanding might impact how she views his behaviors.
Yeah.
Or how he experiences his world and his interactions.
So if you're trying to get her to see what it's like for him, is there something that you use all the time in your trainings that, oh, yeah.
Hey, Kiki, try on my binoculars for the amber.
Yeah, I wonder.
So clearly identified him as an amber. I mean, with the cards, and he was just like, that's him.
That was so cool. That was like, boom. Oh, yeah, he's this one right here.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties it. You were bringing in all this knowledge, and you had a lot of good ideas of what you wanted her to do with it.
Yeah.
And it was that, again, going back to your idea of that transition, where did I want her to go with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what, too? I think this is part of where the balance is going to be for me, is that I'm trying not to steer, so I just let her talk.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't know if I could have somehow kind of given her, it was also the first time I was with her, and I know that she just felt like she wanted to get everything out on the table.
Yeah,
But it's me figuring out how to create mini timeouts, maybe.
Well, I wonder if you can use something like your reflection tool to pick the one piece. So
So she said something like,
because she talks a lot.
Yeah, it's that and he won't get in the shower, and just so he's having trouble getting in the shower with you. I wonder if let's try something.
Let's go back to that idea of which one comes first, visual, verbal, or touch.
Right, or he's having trouble doing this. Maybe we could talk about how if you give him a visual cue and then tell him with simple words, maybe that will help with his understanding.
Well, and before you do that, what did you want her to experience?
I was going to have her experience, maybe let me show you what somebody in his state of dementia, what their vision is like.
Yeah, great.
So now
I'm also going to try this, and then
yeah.
If you're not getting my words in, you're only seeing this. What's going on for you right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so having her try something, when you're doing consulting, having it be a more, going back to your AELC, which is tricky.
Right.
Okay. So, because when you listen to it, isn't it just that perfect opportunity?
It was right there. I was right there.
But in the moment, what makes it hard to see all of that?
Because it's trying to stay connected and also not stay too in the brain, but it's a process of learning too, of knowing seeing the little windows open a little bit. Right.
And you've got those windows and you see them and you like, okay, this is a perfect spot for this knowledge. And now you're going to push it to that next level of, I'm not just going to give it to you, I'm going to give it to you and ask you to apply it.
Yeah.
But to do that, I've got to take you through a little cycle. I can't just sort of say, here's this, try it,
Yeah. Yes, okay. This is really adding that element, which I sort of started to do then.
You absolutely did, and that's why I wanted to make sure we listened to it again, because I was like, ooh, what a cool spot for that. Nice. And you're right, it was just right there on a little platter for you, and then you got, just because she...
Yeah, that's also going to be another trick when consulting, which I do think I have, probably will have opportunities for here, is realizing her personality and how different personalities to manage the relationship with the different personalities of whoever.
Yeah, because what gems
Stakeholder is.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she's a diamond.
Oh, yeah. And possibly Emerald, especially when she's frustrated on the weekend with the one girl who does nothing.
Right.
Right.
Well, there was more I didn't even record.
I'm sure. I was like, that can go on for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's an eventual goal that maybe we work with this other girl to see if she can do some visual cues. But for now, let's just try it for yourself, because you're clearly getting really frustrated, and this is not a nice situation on the weekend here. But, okay, cool. And you brought up the gyms, which that was a really cool way. It sounded like, boom, as soon as you brought it out, that was her whole demeanor kind of shifted a little bit.
Yeah. I think I gave her a choice, but I know him, and I know he's an Amber, but I wanted to make sure that she identified it herself.
Right, absolutely. And you were really working hard to not tell her which one it was, and you didn't have to, because she really did right away was like, oh, not really that, not really, nope, definitely this one.
Yeah.
And so that's then a perfect place to tie in those, well, here's what we know about Ambers. Here's what they do have left. And so...
take that a little step further.
Yeah, so because you noticed that she was focusing on what he's lost.
Right.
So that might be a really cool place to add in some of those positives of here's what we know Ambers can still really do.
Right.
They still have some movement, some motor. They still have, they're ruled by sensation. So we want to think about what sensations. Oh, he loves massage. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and on the go. He's very on the go, but we did point out his lack of safety awareness is one of the major issues.
Right. That's been one of the big shifts recently that shifted him from Emerald to Amber. And that's a real concern for her, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
So we're going to look at transitions and possibly using the AELC to deliver knowledge.
Okay.
Throughout your consulting, right? Because that's a skill that you've got.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we are going to kind of jump into your scenario. You've got, let me stop sharing that for a minute. Let me pull back up my Howie profile. I'm going to go ahead and share this with the screen so that people can see it.
Excellent. And I wrote this after our consultation.
Right, and this was something that you were listening for, and then you wanted to make sure you got it down, but it's a lot. So
I wrote it down because I knew that we might want to play with it, so we could choose one or the other.
Perfect.
She did choose, if anybody looks at this, she did choose the 4 to 4:30 agitated piece that she wanted to deal with.
Right, and so you ended up focusing on time and productivity within his day and finding value and meaning, which was an important piece for her as well, because that was becoming the biggest frustration. And originally in your consulting, that was where your focus was, right? Was getting the person to identify what's their biggest frustration so that you can help them problem solve. So that was a piece that you've done.
Choosing, right.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big shift for you, because in the beginning, that was the struggle, was getting me to identify.
And not me deciding what I thought was more important.
Right, exactly. So that's a huge shift. So that's no longer even a concern of yours, which is great. That came really naturally. The problem comes in because he can get physically defiant because he's not getting anything that he wants, and he's not able to do anything that he was able to do. So this other piece that we may shift towards is the walking around the city, but we may decide to take it to some other safety awareness that's another issue. He was an attorney and a pharmacist. He was very observant kosher Jew, had some pretty strong language changes throughout his life, which was another much like the music, she wasn't quite ready to accept that change yet.
Yeah.
Really interesting background between the two of them, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
The articles and this piece you kind of addressed a bit, how to do this safely, because the scissors were a struggle. The hospitalization, oof, it's a pretty tough one, but able to sort of overcome from that and get back to.
I think this is really important, this piece of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the fact that he really loves being outside, and that's one of the big pieces. Music, and loves to dance, but we're learning that maybe his tastes in music have changed a little bit.
Yep.
And he was very serious. He was very social because he had that attorney / pharmacist, interaction with people constantly, but in a very professional way. And then he also had this social life that he's not getting really either at this point.
Not much.
So
he does come alive, boy, though. It's the one thing that's shifted, that he's become so playful, that she enjoys about him, is that he's become very playful.
Perfect.
Everybody loves him when he's around. He's the life of the party. He's fun, and he's playful, and he's expressive,
and it's probably a little bit more of who he was when he was younger, when they first met. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and also I wonder too how much of that he kept the reins on.
Oh yeah,
to have an appearance of this very serious scholarly man, and probably a very playful person inside that just didn't get to come out as often.
Right. Well, when you're following all the rules and doing all the things you're supposed to do,
mm-hmm.
While she's very loving and caring, she's also very strict. And I don't think that's a new phenomena from what it sounded like. So this, their relationship has been pretty structured, it sounds like, for a while. So, it's kind of nice to see this last piece, or this second to last piece, about his enjoyment.
Yeah. I think that's important, because that might become a very important thing to embrace.
Absolutely.
And make use of.
Absolutely. And the fact that she's seeing some enjoyment and having some enjoyment, and that is really important. So this last piece, definitely important to know. And thinking visually and about who would have done any of this in the past kind of goes back to that. It gives you a little insight into what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's the overview. I'm just going to leave it up if that's okay with you, and then we'll kind of go through. We'll only take just a short while to do this consultation because we want to kind of make sure we're sticking to kind of one focus. And your goal is to just get through the cycle and see how we go. Your focus this time, what's your focus for this time? Transitions.
Using reflection to help with transitions.
Got it. Okay. I'm not going to adopt a French accent.
I was going to say, you don't have to do that, Amanda, because then it might give me the giggles.
It would be really bad and probably end up being Spanish or Mexican or Canadian or something. It would not be French, whatever it would be. So, okay, so I am Kiki, and you've come over, and
it's our second time together.
Second time together.
Oh,
yep.
Terrific. Hi, Kiki. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we did the pieces that we talked about with the scissors and the pills.
How'd that go?
He loved it.
Oh,
he loved
good.
it.
He loved it.
It doesn't last very long.
Right.
But it does help get us through that that one little time where the 4 to 4:30 that is a really hard time for us.
Good. So what happens after that 4 to 4:30?
Oh, well, then he wants to go outside again.
Aha.
And so that doesn't go away.
So what happens for you when he wants to get out?
Well, I have the girls here, and the girl that's here, she sometimes will take him out and I will go with him, but it's so dangerous. I don't want them to go out anymore because he's basically, he's like a little baby on the street. Just walks out, doesn't even look. He's just going to get hurt, and we can't hold him back when he starts to walk. We try to hold his arms back, and and then he's getting really flustered, and then he gets really upset, and I'm afraid he's going to hit one of us because we're trying to stop him. And
so you're really afraid that he's going to hurt you or himself,
right? Or the other girl,
or somebody else.
Lawsuit on my hands.
Right. Boy, that sounds tough. So what do you think is behind him wanting to get out? I know we talked about at 4 o'clock that he kept saying he needed to go to work. So it sounds like maybe this is after work. I'm just curious what he used to do after work.
Well, I never was there right when he finished, but he walked home. So, that could be what, I don't know, maybe he was walking home right after he does the hard work. So that could be it.
I'm wondering what he would do to transition from his working day to his after working day.
Well, I wasn't really there, like I said, for that, because he would be at work all day and then I would be here and fix dinner, and he was home by 5:30 every day. And I would have dinner ready to go, and then we could go out or go for a walk after dinner or something.
So you would eat. He would come home from work. You would eat dinner and then go for a walk.
Right. That's right.
Where did he enjoy walking?
Oh, always the parks. Always. There's he loves the parks. We went to, there's 2 parks, and there are these, the one park where they play the chess game, and he loved to walk by and sort of watch them and give them tips, and he had a lot of friends that he would stop and say hi to, and they had their wives. Some of them had their wives close by, so I would go and talk to them. But that park is probably 10 blocks away. And then the other park that he would like to go to is closer, but there's really not as many people in it. But we would try to walk through the first park to get to the second park.
So how often have you tried that lately?
Well, we don't make it to even the first park now because we can't cross the street. So we go outside and we try to do it, but he's going to get hit by a car.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
That sounds really dangerous. So last time that we were together, we started talking about how people take in data from the world. And we talked about, does that ring a bell for you?
A little bit, but not, I don't remember.
I think there's, I'll remind you that the first way that human beings like to get data is visually, that we're looking around, which is interesting for Howie, that I guess if he's in parks, would you say he enjoys seeing nature?
Oh, he's always loved nature. That was when he was at the hospital. That was the only thing that kept him happy, was looking out the window. He just loves to see, the trees and which, because it's New York, we don't have a lot of that. So he likes that part.
Right. So I'm thinking too, well, that's good to know. We'll hold on to that. But the next way is verbally, and then the touch we talked about. There's something about the vision, though, that I maybe could share with you that might give us some insight to start working on, is that we identified that Howie is an amber, and one of the things about ambers is they begin to lose their safety awareness. And
definitely that's him.
Yeah, maybe what can contribute to that is a shift in the vision that happens with Amber. So if you could maybe try with me, they have what's called binocular vision. There you go. So if you can, right where you are, just do a little something for me. Look down and see what you see on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then look up and look at me. Did you identify anything? Can you identify one object in front of you when you look down?
I can see the table and the things right in front of me, but I can't see you anymore.
Okay, now when you look at me.
I can't see anything on the table, no.
Huh.
Yeah.
So this is what we call social vision here.
Okay.
And then when you look down, it's task vision.
Yeah.
So let's think about what Howie, with binoculars on, what do you think he might be seeing when he goes outside?
Oh, when he goes outside. Well, he, that would maybe he's looking right at the trees and the things across the street, and not, yeah. So the things in front of him.
How do you think his peripheral vision is?
Well, it's not good.
Do you think he can see the cars?
He probably can't, because especially he can only see, if he turned his head, why wouldn't he turn his head, to look at the cars?
Yeah.
Because, he knows to do that, to cross the street, to look and see if anything's coming, but he's not doing it. So
let me ask you a question. Where are you in relation to Howie when you're on the streets with him?
Usually right next to him on, I stand on one side and the girl stands on the other side so that we can hold him back.
What is his reaction when you hold him back?
Oh, he really doesn't like that, but if we let go, he's going to step out into the road, so I don't want him to get hurt, so we hold him back, but that's why I said I'm worried that he's going to get hurt, or hurt us.
Right. Well, let me ask you to try this again. Put your binoculars on. And if you can maybe lift your elbows up a little bit, that's sort of to your side. Can you see your elbows?
No.
So if your elbows were, you have your elbows are being held, can you see who's holding them?
No.
What do you think Howie might be sensing if you are holding, you and your care partner are trying to hold him back?
I guess he could be thinking that, we're trying to force him to do something, or, he's probably scared, maybe a little bit.
Maybe he is. Maybe there's, how much do you know about how the amygdala works?
The what?
The amygdala, right inside our brain, inside our primitive brain. That's one of the very primitive parts of our brain that on one function of it is to keep us safe. And what happens when that pops up, the left amygdala will go, it'll go up, and that's when your reaction is either fright, fight, or flight.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that.
That's the instant reaction a human being has for its own safety, and it takes out all any kind of executive thing, no impulse control, nothing gets wiped out when that thing goes on.
Well, that makes sense, because he starts to go crazy and flails his arms and tries to hurt us. So.
And it's, you said too, he just tries to cross the street.
Yeah, he's trying to go straight. He doesn't look any direction. He just walks right across.
So do you think maybe he's trying to get to something he sees, or trying to get away from something that seems dangerous?
Well, at first, I think he's just trying to get to something he sees, because we don't touch him until he is going into the road, and then we try to stop him. So I think he's just going to the park that he wants to go to, because he can see it across.
Oh, so you can see the park, so he wants to go. So I wonder what would happen. So what do you think might benefit from shifting? Maybe how you're walking with him, or where you're walking?
Well, we always go the same way. So if we're gonna go, I would not do a different path because I don't want him to get lost or I don't want us to get confused. But you were saying, do I walk in front of him then? Just walk in front but I don't know if he would recognize me from the back and follow me. He'd probably just walk right past me anyway.
So tell me what you've heard about positive approach and using hand under hand for walking.
I don't know about that.
Would you be okay if I share with you a little bit that might help him to shift the relationship that you have with him?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so if we were in person, we would like to shake hands, and then we get into a butterfly,
Mm-hmm.
and shift that into a handhold that we call hand under hand. And I would have you get slightly to the side of Howie so that he doesn't feel trapped. So what I would do is maybe demonstrate with you what it's like to have me right in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then the difference between giving you a space where you can still see me and know I'm there,
Okay.
but I'm not on top of you and I'm not getting you from behind.
Okay.
What do you think would be different about being this kind of relationship with Howie instead of this, or behind him and holding on?
Yeah, I think he might be able to stop him before he steps in the street. I don't know if he would be comfortable holding hands in public. That's not something that we did. But maybe in the house I could try it.
Would you be willing to try? If I come over and work with you two at the house, maybe would you be willing to try that if I do a coaching session with you? How hand under hand might feel and change him physically, so maybe you could get out with him in a different relationship.
I could try it. I'm not sure if I get it 100%, but I think I could try it.
Okay.
Yeah. I might make it easier to kind of hold him back too.
Yeah, I think when we experience it physically, it's something that I guess we're going to have to try together to see how it works. I'm just thinking you've identified that he can't see, right?
Right, yes. So
addressing that might have something to do with his safety issue.
Right.
And it might have to do with the surprise he's getting when
yeah, it does seem like he's surprised, or mostly he gets angry, but it could be that he's scared. Yeah.
Oh, so you think he's scared?
I think so, because when he's about to cross, then he does and then he jumps like that, and that's when he starts trying to hit us and hurt us,
So do you think it's something outside, or is it the touch that's frightening him?
Now I think it might be the touch, because he couldn't see it, so maybe that's what the problem is.
Maybe.
Yeah. So if we do this other thing, hand
under hand, we call it.
Hand under hand.
With a positive physical approach, yeah.
Okay. If we do that, then you think he will walk across the street, okay?
Well, I'm going to introduce you to maybe have you try something too. There's the human hand is really special, and we can talk about this more in detail later, but we have skill fingers that allow us to button and hold utensils and things like that. And then we have strength fingers. These two fingers allow us to hold on. And Howie is really good with that. I know he's really
very
good
strong.
with those strong things. Yeah, I know he's good with that, being strong.
Yes.
But there's also a magic part of the hand right here. The palm of your hand is a very sensitive place, and it's a place where human beings are very comforted.
Yeah, he likes the massage there.
Okay, that's good to know. So he likes having his hands massaged in the palms. So what we can try is seeing if maybe when you get to the light, if you give him a little hand pump. Pumping, what happens when you feel something? What do you want to do? You're feeling something.
You look at it.
What if a bug bites you?
Yeah, then you want to touch it.
You want to see where it is and you want to touch it.
Yeah.
It's there, right? You want to touch it. Or, so I'm wondering if maybe trying giving him some hand pumps when you're approaching, and if you're in the supportive stance with him, and he can just know you're there, and you give him a little hand pump, then maybe he'll look at you.
Oh, okay. I could try that.
Yeah, little hand pump, and maybe that's when you say, we've started working on the visual, verbal, touch cues. And you say, Howie, wait here. Wait
Okay.
with me.
Okay, I could do that. I think he would listen to me. Okay, so time.
Yeah,
How'd that go?
that went pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because it's kind of new. Is bringing the AELC into it, is bringing the knowledge piece. So I wasn't sure how much I was talking too much, and how much I did get you in, but sometimes I think I got a little telling instead of letting you discover. Sometimes I did that.
Okay, so where did you do well with it? Where did you pull back? Because it sounds like there were moments where you felt like you did too much, and so then you pulled back and you let me do some experience. So what was the...
Well, when I got to that, like, oh, shoot, I'm sort of like, is it something he sees or something he feels?
And I answered, well, I think it's something he feels. And you're like, that's not what I was going for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how'd you get yourself out of that? Because you did.
I honestly, I don't remember.
Then you went into...
Oh, I did go into this stuff. Yeah, though, that's right. I said I looked at that as an opportunity to introduce the amygdala and how that affects the safety. And that brought you back to, oh, safety. That's exactly what our problem is.
Right. So you went back to that original concern of safety, which was your biggest piece to start with. Amber, losing safety awareness, all visual, what they see, they want to touch, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, so you felt like you got... Did you get around the cycle?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think so.
Did I select something?
Yeah, we're going to see if we can try hand under hand.
Absolutely.
We selected what to talk about is going out. And
then...
I had to dig a little because it wasn't working where I was going.
Right.
Well, I was saying, what did he do after work? Like, how does he relax? None of that was coming out. Like,
No.
Just out. We're out. Let's deal with that part.
So we're going to do this one way or another. How do we make this happen? Okay. So you were trying to dig deeper into the person, but do I have any of that knowledge?
No.
Yeah. And so you were able to let go.
You're not, or like Kiki, it's in her point of view.
Exactly. And so what did I know about? Well, when he got home.
Yeah, he liked it. Yeah, this is what we do.
Okay. So you recognized that and you were able to kind of pull back and go, okay, so let's just focus on what her need and willingness is.
Yeah.
How do you think the AELC went with the vision and then the hand under hand?
I think it worked well, pretty much. The hand under hand, that's tricky to do on a video.
It's really hard to do if I don't have a partner.
Right. Yeah. So, which is why in real life, I would say, Kiki, can I come over to the house?
Exactly.
I'll come over and we'll do a coaching session in the house and try it.
And that's so important. Now, if you can't do that, if this person is far away from you, what's the other alternative? Because are you always going to be able to go over to the person's house or be the person that fixes it with them?
Well, if we were having this kind of conversation, I would say, can we schedule when you can have a friend come over?
You got it.
And that I can watch you and talk you through it. And even I'll get a friend to come over so you can watch me do it. Or I'll send you a video of me doing it.
Exactly. That's a great alternative because having a friend come over, not only does she now have the skill that she can practice and you can coach her on, but she also then has support, right?
Right. Another stakeholder for that partnership.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's important. And by doing that as the consultant, you get yourself out of the partnership and let them do some work. So if it's in person, great first try. And then see if you can get it to pass off to someone else that's there more often.
I probably would ask her care partners if she would be willing to ask them to try it so they could work together.
Nice. Yeah, because we know that they do things together, and she's always there monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
So setting that up where she has more power because she has new knowledge.
Right.
But then so that she can share it with them, if it were a 3-person kind of start where you and the two of them work together, how is that going to be different than if just she knows it and she's trying to coach them on it?
Right, exactly. I think it'll be much better you let the professional do it.
Yeah, because we know a lot about her personality, and coaching style, I'm going to guess, is not the most open and, friendly. It's probably you get it right the first time because I said so. So, which is okay, and that works, but it might be helpful for you to kind of be a part of that.
She's willing to try. That's exactly the thing. She is always willing to try.
Exactly. She wants this to work. She really does.
She does. And she has, it takes her a while, but I've noticed that she is flexible. It has to be sort of
on her terms.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Right. And so
she thinks she thought it up.
And that's the linchpin of a good coach, is that it's their idea. I didn't do it. Sure. I mean, I know that I planned it and I've got all these checklists and I've given you the information 6 times and we've gone over it and practiced it, but you're right. This is a great idea. I agree. You should try that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came up with that all on your own. Okay, cool. So you were working on transitions. How'd that go?
I think I did well with that. I was seeing those sort of little window cracks, and I think I can't remember near the beginning. It was like you were just stuck on something, and I kind of grabbed on something and said, "Oh, hey, let's go over here for a minute if you don't mind."
Exactly. Yeah, I was talking about everything. I had talked a lot about how things had gone with the activities, and then I got stuck back on the thing that's still not going well, right? And you said, so it sounds like safety is a major concern. And that then became your guide, which was kind of a cool reflection tool that then got you to the next piece of, you were trying to go through all the different pieces and you realized, okay, it's still safety. That's our biggest concern.
Yeah.
Nice. So if you were to do this one again, we've got a lot of things that went well. You got in the visual, you got me to practice, you got me to try out hand under hand. I have a little bit of information on this idea that he's probably scared when we touch him, but that touch can be really comforting. And then I've kind of chosen that hand under hand would be the next thing I would try in that supportive stance. What would be the one piece that you wish you had done differently, or that you are thinking now, I wish I had changed, or that I'd like as my next focus?
I'm looking at my cards and things. I think I could simplify some things a little bit. Again, going back to, I tend to talk a lot. It's something I'm always been working on, is not talking too much, is taking a little time and maybe simplifying with clarity some of what I'm saying.
Okay, so which things did you feel like I didn't really need?
Well, I was trying to go through the visual, verbal, touch, and then I started talking about hand under hand. I got a little complicated with it, and I could have probably just kept it more simple.
Okay, so when you introduce that piece that might connect those transition pieces, so
Yeah,
going from visual to verbal to touch, which one of those does hand under hand connect with?
that's well, it's all free, or at least
What does it really do, though? I mean,
it connects you physically.
physically, that's my physical touch.
Yeah.
So getting me to hear, he's looking visually at something in the park or where he wants to go.
Right.
He's not responding to your words. What's the other way that we can connect the data for him? Oh, touch. And you said he really enjoys that massage.
But he hates when you pull it.
Yeah, he doesn't like when you pull on his arms. Weird. I love that.
I'm always looking for
so
dislocation.
At that moment,
I could have connected that a little more clearly and a little, yeah.
Okay, so possibly thinking through, I mean, and that you're doing a lot on the fly, but simplifying it, so not worrying about the language as much of, is she getting hand in her hand, does she understand task and social, but instead just saying, okay, so here's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Here's the tool that I'm going to show you.
And I just clicked into it. It's connecting it more to Howie, to making it really personal. It's not just information. It's making it so that I could have connected. So Howie is seeing something he likes. He is not hearing as well, and he's feeling a certain touch, which is doing this, but he enjoys a different kind of touch.
Nice.
Like connecting it to him, or this, what is Howie when how is just making it more literal about their experience, like where it's showing up in their experience of each other.
Okay, so having her talk a little bit more about, so tell me what you see. If you're Howie standing at the streetlight, what do you see? And then what's the first touch that you get? Okay, and how would that feel?
Yeah.
So here's something to try, and then you can just go right into it because at that point you've got her set up. Nice. Okay.
Just kind of clean it up a little. Clean it up and make it personal.
All right, cool. So now that you've kind of gotten the idea that I'm going to be doing little AELCs, I'm going to be giving some knowledge and some new information, and then the skill, I'm doing coaching as well. And that's why consulting is so tough, because you're kind of doing little pieces of each one to be a strong consultant.
And engagement.
What?
Wait, did I just do all four in there?
You sure did, girlfriend. That's exactly right. So the idea of keeping it simple information-wise in these consulting sessions and focusing back on their situation in this moment with this person, rather than trying to generalize as much.
Right.
Because you don't need that generalized step as strong.
Because this is really real, and make it get in the real world they're in. Each of them, and as a relationship. Awesome.
Okay, that sounds like a great next step. So what I have so far, you've really made a lot of strides in using the puzzle pieces to help you go from seek to reflect and seek to reflect without it being stuck in seek or stuck in reflect. You've worked to explore with two options rather than so many, and listening to them for where the options come from rather than coming up with them on your own. Having them really choose before you dig deeper, those two options. And then the reflection as your transitions is your next focus, but that's what you worked on today. The other piece that you're adding in is trying to deliver AELCs for some new content and knowledge, and then some coaching for the skill to get the other people involved so that it's not just you and this person through this journey together.
Right.
That's a lot of stuff.
Feels good though.
Yeah, you've made a lot of progress.
This feels really good to me.
Awesome.
I think this is something I'm absolutely going to be able to use.
Good. Yeah, this kind of fits in your lifestyle and what you already do.
Yeah, and I have that sort of interaction with folks who are always saying, what do you do? How do you do it? You know, individual families, I get contacted from individual families all the time wanting support and help.
You got it. And because you're a little bit more of that naturalistic learner, and then you're very heart first, it's hard to kind of describe exactly what it is you're doing, but are you feeling a little bit more like, oh, it actually does have a pattern? I can start to see what I'm doing that's working, and I now think I can get it to other people.
Yeah. Instead of just focusing on my, well, basic skills, but intuition is, you know, but now I think I'm really beefing up my toolkit.
Awesome.
I'm going to have one of those Mary Poppins bags with the lamp coming out and the potted plant.
That's awesome. You're going to just be that full of sugar girl from now on. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording for a minute, and then we'll do just the